To whom it may concern. Test. Hello and welcome to the TA Suyt Show with me, Tiffany, aka TA Suyt. That's Suyt with the Y and not an I. We are already on episode 10. Episode 10. Very happy to finally be here in the double digits. Many more to come. So this is going to be a That's So Random episode. And it's kind of random because I'm just going to read a letter. But it's a letter that I published. And it's in my third book, Reaching, a book of poetry, letters, and quotes. And it's called Tests. And this letter kind of touches on the exact same subject that we just talked about in the last episode about divine timing and patience. But also the one about repeating cycles as well. So this one I think kind of touches on the exact same subject, and I just kind of want to keep going on that subject if you don't mind with this episode. So I'm just going to basically read the letter exactly how it's written word for word in my book that of course is on sale now online. Get on Amazon, get on Barnes & Noble, a couple of different websites. If you go to tac.com, you can find all those different websites that my books are selling. So let's get to it. Let's read this letter about tests and repeating cycles and how you're not cursed. There's nothing wrong with you just because you're having these same things tend to happen to you. They're happening for a reason. And I thought that this letter did a pretty good job of explaining it as well. So this is called To Whom It May Concern. Tests. And I've got a few To Whom It May Concern letters that's already been written and published, and they're basically written for me, but also for anybody else who feels like they've been going through the same thing of feeling like they've been stuck in ruts or whatever the topic may be. All right, so let's just get to it. To whom it may concern, tests. To whom it may concern. No, you are not cursed. You just haven't passed the test yet. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle? A revolving door of the same bad things happening over and over again. Every time you leave one terrible job, you end up at another one. Or you keep attracting the same sort of terrible relationships. Or maybe you just feel like wherever you go, you just keep getting the same terrible treatment. In other words, same shit, different toilet. Well, I'm here to tell you there's a reason for this. And it's not because you're being punished. It's because you haven't passed the test yet. What people fail to realize is that the reason why God keeps allowing you to be in the same sort of predicaments over and over again is because there is a lesson you have not learned yet. And only until you understand the lesson and pass the test is when you'll be able to move on into the next phase of your life. Feeling like you're stuck in a rut simply means you're stagnant. You're not growing and progressing like you should be. You might physically leave the job or person, but your spiritual growth is stagnant. You've become comfortable, stuck in your ways. And the only way to get out of this rut is to change something from within. We are all human. We should be continually allowing life to mold and shape us. With each new day comes new opportunities to improve and develop, whether it's for the better or worse. Now, think about this scenario for a minute. If you're taking a test at school and you fail it the first time, would you come back the next time and use those exact same answers again, hoping for different results? Of course not. So why do we continue to do this in our actual lives every day? I think it was Albert Einstein that said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So if we want to see different results, we have to change our answers. Either that or keep living our lives like an insane person. So back to this test. You just got it back and you realize that you just failed. Sometimes you're way off and fail badly. Sometimes you were so close but was off by like 2 points. Don't you hate it when that happens? But anyways, you're probably angry or, of course, disappointed. You may even start having some self-doubts or whether you'll be able to pass the test again at all. But guess what? You were given the gift of a redo. Praise the Lord for redos, because the thing about taking tests in our lives is that God will provide you with a bunch of redos, a endless amount of redos, especially if He thinks there's a lesson that is imperative for you to learn in order to live a much more fulfilled life. But yes, you've been given a second chance to pass the test. So what do you do now? Do you wallow in your self-doubt and pity? Or do you start studying the mistakes that you made on your last test? It's time for you to correct some mistakes. Study what went wrong and use that to work on yourself. Because ultimately, you can't worry about the things you can't control. Other people, jobs, circumstances. But instead, you have to focus on the one thing you can control. And that thing is you. So now's the time to put in some work. No change can come from doing nothing. Change from within takes time. It takes hard work and dedication, soul searching, mental clarity, action, but ultimately it takes patience for yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself just because things just don't seem to ever go your way. You are not perfect. Neither is life. But you will learn how to navigate and handle whatever life throws your way. And that only comes through growth. And growth comes from your tests. You are not so special that you will be exempt from going through trials and tribulations. And you should not be okay with just being stuck in your mess. Because there's always a way out. Even when it doesn't seem like there is an end in sight, just know that there is one. Trouble doesn't last always. But if it feels like it is, it's only because you may have more lessons to learn at this time than some others around you. But don't kid yourself. We all have plenty of tests. And don't think someone else's test is much more easier than yours. God designs each test for each individual. So don't go around wanting someone else's tests and lessons. Their lessons are for them, and it probably wouldn't help you none for your own life purpose anyway. So now let's review your old tests. What went wrong? Have you noticed any patterns in the way you are handling certain situations and people? How about the way you are viewing it? Review your perception. Did you not change at all? Not grow or improve for the better? Did you approach your redo test the exact same way you did the first test, expecting different results? Are you feeling the insanity in your life? Well, you should. Lord knows I have. What I've noticed is that people are quick to assume that the problem in our lives can't possibly have anything to do with us. We're quick to blame any and everything else instead of what we are doing. We need to hold ourselves accountable for how we took the test and the answers we chose thinking they were right. It's not always our circumstances that's at fault. A lot of it has to do with ourselves. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially if you have never been taught how to study properly. Maybe you had a terrible upbringing, been abused in relationships, lacked knowledge in the area, or just simply surrounded by a lot of negativity in life. If you were never taught how to study correctly, how can you expect to pass your tests? It's simple. It's simple. Really, everyone has been given a cheat sheet. Now, whether people choose to look at it or not, that's your option. But just know it's there. And it has been since the beginning of time, and it isn't going anywhere soon. Use that cheat sheet to study. It may surprise you, but whatever answers you are searching for was right there in front of you the whole time. You just have to willingly find it. So if you want to break the cycle or get out of your rut, you first need to acknowledge you're being tested, but for a good reason. What could the possible lesson in all this be? What haven't you learned yet, but you still need to know in order to graduate and move on to the next phase in your life? Why haven't you passed the test yet? And now start to identify what needs to change from within you. What can you improve on to make the situation either better or stop showing up in your life over and over again? Study your patterns. Take some accountability. Work on yourself. Take action. Get results. It's not as easy as it sounds, and I know this. I too have trouble with this simple concept and find myself stuck in all kinds of ruts. But what I do know is that with proper self-care in action, there is no rut that can keep you stuck for too long. Now don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or follow.